Roads have always been dangerous places. Before highways, travelers feared isolated trails, mountain passes, and crossroads. In fact, many modern road legends inherited older folklore traditions, and most haunted road stories fall into reoccurring categories. There's the phantom hitchhikers, women in white, ghost vehicles, accident apparitions, and entire roads that are believed to be cursed. Tonight, we are traveling some of the most infamous haunted roads in the United States, beginning with perhaps one of the most famous roadside ghosts in America. Welcome in to the Ominous Archives. Hey Archive members, as always I'm Nick.
And I'm Em.
And tonight, like we said, we're going to be getting into the car. And before you say anything, Em, I mean metaphorically.
I was going to say it.
I know you were going to say it.
I had a whole thing prepared, actually.
I know. We're just metaphorically moving on.
Anyways.
So tonight, we're going to be doing something a little different in how we cover these. Em and I are going to be switching off like we've kind of done in the past. And we're going to take turns leading different roads because there are plenty of them that it makes sense that we're just going to share driving.
Pun intended.
Absolute dad pun intended. So I'm going to start us off with what I think is probably the most famous haunted road story in America. And then we'll hand it back and forth from there.
I've been looking forward to this one, actually.
So we're going to start with Resurrection Mary. So the legend centers on a specific road, Archer Avenue, a historic roadway that runs southwest of Chicago through a village called Justice, Illinois.
And even before the ghost story, the location is interesting.
It's really interesting. Along this stretch sits Resurrection Cemetery. It's a sprawling Catholic burial ground established in 1904. And during the early 20th century, the same area was home to several popular dance halls, drawing young people from Chicago and the surrounding communities. One of the most famous was the O. Henry Ballroom, later known as the Willowbrook Ballroom.
So you've got a cemetery and a dance hall basically next door to each other on the same road.
Which, once you know the story, it's going to feel incredibly fitting because Mary connects to both of these things.
Well, why don't you tell us about Mary?
So, the legend of Mary goes that Mary was a young woman. She attended a dance sometime in the late 1920s or early 1930s. And exactly what happened afterward depends on who's telling the story. In some versions, she's argued with her boyfriend and left the dance upset. In others, she was simply walking home after a night out.
But the ending is always the same.
Yep. While traveling along Archer Avenue, Mary was struck by a vehicle and killed. She was buried in Resurrection Cemetery.
And then the sightings start.
Exactly. Over time, reports began emerging of a young blonde woman seen walking the road at night. Witnesses consistently describe her wearing a white dress, clothing that seemed decades out of date. And here's the detail that I think makes Mary different from a lot of ghost stories.
She doesn't seem like a ghost.
No, most people who claim to encounter her believe they were talking to a living person. She wasn't described as frightening. She wasn't translucent or glowing or doing anything overly supernatural. She just seemed like a young woman who needed help.
Which is actually the most unsettling version of a ghost story, the one where you don't even know.
Yeah, and The classic version of the encounter goes like this. A man at a local dance hall. He notices Mary among the crowd. They talk, maybe dance. At the end of the night, she asks for a ride home. He says yes. She gets in the car. She directs him along Archer Avenue toward Justice. Everything's completely normal. Until the car approaches Resurrection Cemetery.
And then?
Without warning, she's gone. Some witnesses say she vanished from the back seat. Others say she stepped out of the vehicle and simply faded near the cemetery gates.
Just gone.
And the story started gaining some serious attention in the 1930s and 40s as more and more sightings came in. Taxi drivers claimed to have picked up a woman matching Mary's description, only to find their passenger had disappeared mid-journey. Motorists reportedly seeing a woman in white walking Archer Avenue late at night before vanishing into nothing.
There's a specific incident from the 1970s too, right?
Yeah, yep. Visitors to the Resurrection Cemetery noticed a section of the wrought iron gate appeared to be bent outward. And before long, rumors spread that Mary herself had forced her way through the bars.
Right, because the ghost bent the gate.
That became the story. Now, there's no actual evidence connecting the damage to the gate to the legend, but it became part of Mary's mythology almost immediately.
Well, of course it did. You've got a bent gate and a famous ghost. People are going to connect those things to each other.
People are going to connect those things regardless of what actually caused the damage. And what I find genuinely interesting about Resurrection Mary, beyond just the individual sightings, is what she represents in the broader history of ghost stories.
The vanishing hitchhiker tradition.
She basically helped popularize one of the most enduring ghost story traditions in the world. The vanishing hitchhiker. Similar legends exist all across the United States and around the globe, but very few are tied to a specific road the way Mary is tied to Archer Avenue. She and that road are inseparable at this point.
And the sightings are still being reported.
Some drivers still claim to see a young woman in white near Resurrection Cemetery, especially late at night. Whether those reports are misidentifications, local folklore coming to life in people's imaginations, or something genuinely unexplained, it's impossible to say.
What I love is that she's not menacing. Like, even if you believe in her, she's not trying to hurt anyone. She literally just wants a ride home.
And what's sad is she just never quite makes it.
Yeah, that's really sad, actually.
And I think that's part of why she's endured. She's not a horror story exactly. She's a tragedy. And there's something about that combination, the dance hall, the road, the cemetery, the young woman who just wanted to get home, that sticks with people in a way that pure horror doesn't always manage.
One nearby tavern still reserves a Bloody Mary for her every Sunday.
Which I think says everything about how deeply she's woven into that community. She's not just a ghost story, she's a neighbor.
A neighbor who occasionally disappears from people's back seats.
What's wrong with occasionally disappearing from people's back seats?
True.
All right. Well, that is Resurrection Mary and Archer Avenue. So we're going to hand the steering wheel over to Em.
It's my turn. And I have to say, going from the most elegant ghost story in America to the most chaotic road in America is quite a shift.
So where are we going?
Not far for us. We're going to Jersey.
Of course we are. Why wouldn't we go?
Okay, so Clinton Road, West Milford, New Jersey.
It already sounds ominous.
Lucky for us, it's perfect. It's about 10 miles long, cuts through heavy wooded areas, long stretches of forests, limited development, barely any signs of civilization, and even during the daytime, it apparently feels isolated.
Even during the day?
Yes, which should tell you something about what it's like at night.
Yeah, not a great sign.
And unlike Resurrection Mary, who is one ghost, one road, and one story, Clinton Road is something completely different. It has accumulated so many legends over the years that it's been called one of the most haunted roads in America. Not because of one thing, but because of everything.
I really kind of feel like this is the there's probably so many roads in New Jersey that are like this.
Oh, 100%.
Because I know going to the campground, there's a couple roads where if you drive at night, you're just like, man, what's going to come out of the woods?
Yes, it's like pitch black and the only light is your headlights.
Yep. Until they flicker and go out, and then
right, and then you're screwed.
No headlights. But how many things are we actually talking about on this road?
All right, buckle up. So the most famous legend is the Ghost Boy.
Okay.
According to local tradition, the spirit of a young boy haunts one of the bridges along the road. Some versions say he drowned in the water below the bridge. Others say that he fell to his death. The details vary, but what stays consistent is the ritual.
There's a ritual.
Yes, visitors are encouraged to stop on the bridge and toss a coin into the water below. And if the ghost boy is present,
the coin does the whole come back to you.
It does. It gets returned.
How?
Yeah, nobody really explains the how. The legend just says that it comes back.
Okay, so you toss it over the side and you get back in your car and there it is on your dash.
Today, there are countless coins visible resting in the creek beneath the bridge, so a lot of people have definitely tried it.
A lot of people have stood on a bridge throwing coins at a ghost boy.
Essentially, yes. And here's the thing that makes it even better. Nobody is entirely sure which bridge the story originally even referred to.
Wait, so there could be more than one bridge on this road, and we're not sure which bridge we're actually talking about.
Yeah, so most visitors head to the bridge near a spot called Dead Man's Curve, but others insist the real location is farther south near an old iron furnace and waterfall. So people are out there throwing coins at potentially the wrong bridge.
So the ghost boy might not even be getting his coins. So all those coins at the bottom of that bridge are just, they're not getting returned because it's the wrong bridge.
He's probably sitting there wondering where all of his coins went.
That's genuinely the saddest version of this story.
Yeah, poor ghost boy. He was robbed of his coins by bad directions. It's ridiculous. Moving on from ghost boy. He's honestly just the beginning of what is happening on this road.
So we got more.
Oh, there's much more. Phantom vehicles. Drivers have long reported encountering headlights suddenly appearing behind them in the dark, following closely for miles, and just when it seems like the vehicle is about to pass,
they're gone.
Completely gone. No vehicle, no sound, nothing.
My Popeye told us a story, and it's one of those things that I feel like he passed, so I can't confirm it with him, but I swear he told us a story where him and I don't know if it was just him or him and Joanne, or they were driving down a road and there was like headlights behind them and they were in Jersey.
Mm-hmm.
And they're like, all right, well, this person's coming up fast. Like, you know, it's pitch black. We can't see nothing, but this person's flying. And they're like, oh my God, they might hit us. Like, they're just not stopping. And then all of a sudden, like, he said he like braced for impact and the car was just gone.
It's insane.
Yeah, and I'm almost positive my sister and my cousin were there, and I'd have to ask them about it to see if they remember the story. I could just be making it up, but
I believe it.
It's convincing, but I'd have to ask them. I think they were there. Next time I see them.
Yeah. Other people describe ghostly trucks that seem to actively pursue motorists before just disappearing without explanation.
It specifically trucks?
Yes, trucks specifically. And then there's a specific story about a young woman who was killed in a crash on the road and now appears to drivers as a special reminder, and she was driving a Camaro.
The ghost had a specific car.
The ghost has a very specific car, which I respect, honestly. Commit to the bit even in the afterlife.
Yeah, brand loyalty beyond death. You know, people are stuck to their Chevys, Fords, you name it.
It's true. Now, here's where Clinton Road stops being a regular haunted road story and becomes something else entirely.
What else could it become?
The abandoned sofa.
What?
According to one legend, an abandoned sofa occasionally appears in the middle of the roadway.
Like pivot sofa?
Yes, a pivot, like a couch, a pivot sofa.
You know what I'm referencing, right? Yeah.
Friends? Yes, of course I know what you're referencing.
I'm just making sure. We're doing a thing now. Em didn't come over. Normally she comes over. So we're video chatting right now.
Virtual today.
Yeah.
Did that?
But okay, I just had to make sure you got my reference.
What the reference?
I didn't really give the emphasis of the pivot.
But yeah, just a sofa sitting in the road.
So we've haunted furniture.
Yeah. And according to the tale, anyone foolish enough to stop and investigate risks becoming the victim of cannibals lurking in the surrounding woods.
New Jersey is cannibals?
Apparently, there's cannibals in the woods waiting for people to stop and look at the sofa.
There are cannibal woods adjacent to the Ghost Boy Bridge and a Phantom Camaro.
Yeah, Clinton Road just doesn't want you to feel safe.
It pretty much is covering every possible threat. Ghost, truck, car, cannibal. Well, if you're not scared of any of those things, well, here's a random sofa.
And here's where it gets weirder. Other legends involve mysterious lights seen among the trees. Reports of witches gathering in secluded areas, stories of cult activity hidden deep in the forest.
Standard stuff for that road at this point, then.
Yeah, completely standard. And then some visitors claim to have encountered hellhounds or bizarre hybrid animals roaming the woods.
Hellhounds.
And there's actually a semi-rational explanation offered for the strange animals.
I would love to get a semi-rational explanation for hellhounds.
Near Clinton Road, there used to be something called Jungle Habitat, a safari-themed attraction that operated until the 1970s.
So now New Jersey has a safari
I feel like there's weirder things in New Jersey. When it closed, rumors spread that some of the animals escaped and survived in the wilderness, eventually evolving over the years into stories of strange beasts stalking the forests.
So these hellhounds may actually be descendants of escaped safari animals.
That's the theory, yeah.
That's somehow both more and less frightening than actual hellhounds, in a way.
I feel like a mystery lion in the New Jersey woods is objectively terrifying.
Yeah, I'd think so. I think any of those safari animals, I don't see how they wouldn't not survive. Because if they're in New Jersey, you figure at some point they adapted to the climate. Mm-hmm. I feel like that's the biggest thing that would mess animals up is climate. Yeah. But once you're used to that, if you're a predator, you're going to eat something. If you get hungry, you're going to catch it and eat it. So, I don't know. All right, so does that wrap everything up for Clinton Road?
Not quite. Because not everything dark about Clinton Road is folklore.
Oh?
In 1983, the body of a man named Daniel Deppner was discovered near the roadway. And investigators later linked the crime to Richard Kuklinski.
The Iceman?
The Iceman, notorious contract killer, known specifically for freezing his victims before disposing of their bodies.
Which gave him his name.
which did indeed give him the name. And his connection to Clinton Road led some locals to wonder whether other undiscovered victims might still be hidden in the surrounding woods.
So underneath all the ghost boys, the phantom Camaros, the cannibal sofas, there's actually a real layer of violence attached to this place.
A very real layer. And I think that's what makes Clinton Road genuinely interesting beyond just the folklore. The darkness isn't entirely invented. Some of it did actually happen.
Which makes every other story on the road land a little differently.
Yeah, it really does. And today, it still attracts paranormal investigators, curious motorists, people sharing stories online about strange lights and phantom vehicles. Every generation seemed to add another story, another sighting, and more mystery.
Maybe another sofa?
Potentially another sofa. Unlike most haunted locations tied to one tragedy, Clinton Road has basically become a respiratory for whatever anyone wants to add to it.
A communal haunted road. Everyone gets to contribute.
Which is either beautiful or terrifying, depending on how you look at it.
I think it's both. Okay. Still in New Jersey?
Still in New Jersey, because this state has another road, and this one starts with its name.
What's the name?
Shades of Death Road.
That's the actual name?
That is the legally registered name of the road in Warren County, New Jersey.
Someone named a road Shades of Death.
Well, technically, history actually named it, and it only gets better from there. So, Shades of Death Road winds through rural Warren County, New Jersey, and unlike a lot of haunted roads where the ghost story comes first and the name comes later, here the mystery starts with the name itself.
Well, because someone had to decide to call it Shades of Death.
Yeah, someone did have to look at this road and think, yes, Shades of Death, that's the one.
So how'd this road get its name?
Nobody fully agrees, and that uncertainty is actually part of what makes it interesting. There are several competing theories, and none of them are particularly cheerful.
All right, let's go. What are the theories?
Theory 1 is the swamp. Much of the surrounding area was once part of something called the Great Meadows Wetland. And during the 19th century, mosquitoes carrying malaria thrived in those conditions. Outbreaks of the disease claimed the lives of numerous settlers. According to this explanation, the shades referred to the spirits of those who died from illness.
So the name is essentially a body count for a malaria outbreak.
A roadside memorial to everyone the swamp took. Now, theory number 2 is violence.
Of course it is.
The road's isolated location made it ideal for robberies and ambushes. Early travelers reportedly feared highwaymen hiding in the dense forests lining the route, and local legends claim that lynchings occurred nearby. Though the specific numbers attached to those stories have almost certainly grown with each retelling.
History and exaggeration becoming inseparable.
Which happens with just almost every place that we cover on this show, I feel like. And theory 3 is just the terrain. Dangerous roads, dense forest, poor visibility, sharp curves. People died just trying to navigate it.
So the name might just be accurate.
The name might just be a practical warning that someone decided to make permanent.
Shades of Death. Watch yourself.
Basically. And what's known is that by the time you get to the 1920s and 30s, the road had accumulated several very real and very disturbing crimes.
What kind of crimes?
One man was reportedly beaten to death during a robbery involving gold coins.
Specifically gold coins?
Yes, which tells you something about the era. And then this one is something else entirely. A woman murdered her husband, dismembered his body, and buried the remains on opposite sides of the roadway.
Opposite sides?
Yeah, opposite sides. Like she was dividing him up deliberately.
That is I don't think you can make a joke for that. It's just awful.
Yeah, it really is. And another victim was shot and concealed beneath debris, his murder remaining unsolved for years. Whether every detail of the story has survived intact across the decades is impossible to know, but these events reinforce the idea that Shades of Death Road was a place where terrible things actually happened before any ghost story existed.
So folklore came after the facts.
The folklore filled in around real history, and once it started, it didn't stop. One of the most frequently reported hauntings involves a young woman who died in a car accident while returning from her prom.
That's heartbreaking.
According to local lore, drivers occasionally encounter her walking along the roadside or standing near one of the road's sharp curves. Witnesses describe seeing a figure in formal attire before she disappears.
So she's still in the prom dress.
Yep, and still on the road, never made it home.
There's something about that detail, the dress, which makes it like incredibly sad. It's supposed to be one of like the best nights of your life, going to prom.
Yeah. Now, a lot of the supernatural claims on this road center on a specific location nearby, Ghost Lake.
Ghost Lake. Someone really committed, like, they just dove into like this paranormal naming things around here. Or like spooky naming things around here. Whatever you want to call it.
They do not mess around when it comes with its places' names. Ghost Lake sits within Jenny Jump State Forest, and visitors have long reported seeing strange shapes moving through the fog that gather above the water.
Why wouldn't there be fog?
There's always fog. Some describe human figures emerging from the mist only to fade away. Others report unexplained lights hovering above the lake's surface. And the local legends try to explain these sightings through various stories. Some connected to early settlers, some involving conflicts with indigenous people. Though historians note there's very little evidence to support a lot of those specific claims.
So, like normal, we have legends, but the historical backing is kind of shaky.
It's very shaky, which is worth saying, clearly. And not far from Ghost Lake, there's a location called Fairy Cave.
Fairy Cave. Still committing to naming conventions.
And this one has actual archaeological significance. Investigations have uncovered evidence that the Lenape used the area, but modern folklore has layered new stories on top of that history.
So what are some of these new stories?
Visitors report glowing orbs, strange sensations, unexplained sounds from the surrounding woods. Some accounts connect the cave to occult practices and black magic, though these claims are firmly in legend territory rather than documented history.
So you've got a legitimately historically significant site, and then people have added magic cave vibes to top it off.
Yes, which is very complicated.
It's worth acknowledging.
Absolutely worth acknowledging. And the road itself contributes to everything. Dense forests crowding the shoulders, fog drifting across the pavement regularly, sharp curves limiting visibility, and even on warm days, travelers sometimes report sudden drops in temperature in heavily shaded sections of the roadway.
The road is doing active work to feel haunted.
It's definitely pulling its weight. And wildlife, including wildcats and stray dogs, occasionally appear along the roadside, which add to the sense that something unexpected could emerge from the darkness at any moment.
A wildcat on a road called Shades of Death is not what you want to encounter at 2 a.m. I wouldn't even want to be on that road at 2 a.m.
No, literally.
I just stay with us.
No. A wildcat on any road is not what you want at 2 a.m. or at any time, honestly, I feel.
Yeah, touche.
And today, paranormal investigators and curious travelers still visit regularly. Reports of shadowy figures, strange sounds, unexplained lights, and sudden cold spots keep circulating. Most impossible to verify, but together they've transformed an already ominous road into one of New Jersey's most enduring haunted destinations.
And what I find interesting is that you can't fully separate the name from the history or the folklore at this point. They've become kind of molded into the same thing.
Yeah, whether the name came from malaria, violent crime, dangerous terrain, or some combination of all three, it created an identity. And the identity attracted stories, and the stories attracted more stories.
The name did half the work before anyone saw a single ghost.
The name is doing so much heavy lifting. All right, it's your turn. And I would like to say in advance, I'm very excited about this next one.
You should be.
Yeah, the number alone.
Highway 666.
Literally the Devil's Highway.
Yep, the Devil's Highway. Okay, so everything we've covered so far, Resurrection Mary, Clinton Road, Shades of Death, those roads earned their reputations through accumulated stories, through ghosts and crime and folklore building up over time. But Highway 666 is completely different because this road earned its reputation before most of its paranormal legends ever even existed. The notoriety came first, and it came from a number.
Not just a number, the number.
Highway 666 was designated in 1926 as the sixth branch of the famous Route 66, and it was assigned the number 666 through the completely standard highway numbering system. There was no intention behind it. It was just highway math.
Just math that happened to produce the number of the beast.
Just the math, which happened to produce the number associated with the beast, described in the book of Revelation. And for many residents, the American Southwest, particularly those traveling through remote portions of New Mexico, including sections crossing the Navajo Nation, that connection was impossible to ignore.
The road became known as the Devil's Highway.
Practically immediately. And local politicians periodically push for a name change, arguing that the number carried negative associations and encouraged an unwanted reputation. There is one specific story from Colorado that I love.
This is the gas station.
There was a Shell gas station located near the highway, and at some point, the illuminated sign lost its first letter.
Oh no.
So drivers approaching at night were greeted by 4 glowing red letters.
Hell.
In red on a sign next to Highway 666.
I mean, at that point, I feel like you just have to accept it. The road is committed to an identity and you just gotta respect it.
The road made its feelings pretty clear, I think. But here's the thing, and I want to say this clearly because it matters. Highway 666's reputation was not built entirely on superstition and a number.
The road was genuinely dangerous.
Yeah, for decades, it experienced an unusually high accident rate. There were narrow lanes, poor visibility, heavy truck traffic, long stretches of completely isolated roadway. Depending on the year, between 10 to 25 people reportedly died annually on a particularly notorious stretch running south from Colorado toward Gallup, New Mexico.
That's not a legend. That's a documented body count.
That's a real statistic. And because of those numbers, some residents started calling it the Bermuda Triangle of New Mexico. In 2003, officials finally removed the controversial designation and renamed it U.S. Route 491.
And one transportation official said
that the devil was finally leaving the highway behind, which is a tremendous thing to say at a press conference.
Imagine being the person who gets to deliver that line officially, like on record.
It's a career highlight, and the renaming got national attention. But it did essentially nothing to end the legends. If anything, the stories just got stronger.
Yeah, because I don't think the road cares what number you put on it.
That road will not care. It had a number, it's sticking with its number. And the most persistent legend, the one that comes up again and again in accounts from the highway, is the Phantom Semi-Truck.
All right, tell me about this truck.
So drivers traveling late at night suddenly notice a truck approaching from behind at an alarming speed. It's bearing down on them, sometimes with blazing headlights, sometimes without any lights at all. And just as a collision seems completely inevitable,
it disappears.
Poof. There's no wreckage, no passing vehicle, no sound. Just nothing.
And this isn't just from nervous civilian drivers.
Truck drivers themselves have contributed a significant number of these reports. Several describe seeing enormous tractor-trailers in their mirrors only to watch them disappear moments later. Others claim they were forced onto the shoulder to avoid a collision with a vehicle that ceased to exist. It almost sounds like my Pop's story.
Literally. Experienced professional drivers who spend their entire career on roads all reporting the same thing.
Which I think is worth noting. These aren't people who tend to spook easily. And there are phantom hitchhikers. Travelers report picking up stranded passengers along isolated stretches, often described as Native American individuals seeking a ride. The encounters begin normally. Conversation, directions, a normal interaction. And then, somewhere along the journey,
the passenger's gone.
The back seat becomes empty. No explanation, no sound, just gone.
Which is giving Resurrection Mary in a really interesting way. The vanishing passenger showing up again on a completely different road in a completely different part of the country.
The same archetype surfacing in a totally different landscape. And speaking of landscapes, there are stories connected to this highway that go beyond ghosts entirely. And I want to handle this next part carefully because it definitely deserves that.
The skinwalker stories.
So local folklore connected to the area has included references to skinwalkers, which are figures from the Navajo tradition. And I want to be straightforward about this. Skinwalkers are a specific and genuinely significant part of Navajo belief. This isn't a creature invented for horror movies or camp stories. It comes from a living cultural tradition with real meaning and real significance to the people it belongs to.
And the way these stories get picked up and sensationalized by outsiders is worth naming.
It's worth naming directly. A lot of what circulates online in the paranormal spaces about skinwalkers is heavily filtered through outside interpretation. It's often exaggerated, often disconnected from the actual tradition it came from. So we're acknowledging that these stories exist as part of the road's broader mythology, because they do, while being honest that most of what gets repeated in that context is not an accurate representation of Navajo belief.
It's the difference between something being part of a road's legend and that legend being an accurate account of what the tradition actually means.
Exactly that distinction. The story exists, the road accumulated them, but where they came from and what they actually mean in their original context is a different and much more important conversation.
Okay, what else?
There's missing time, which is one of the stranger categories of report from this highway. Drivers have claimed to travel only a short distance, only to discover that hours have passed without explanation. Others describe losing track of entire sections of their journey, large gaps, roads that they should remember driving down but don't.
That one genuinely unsettles me in a way that the ghost truck doesn't.
Why is that?
Because a ghost truck is external, something outside the car doing something weird and strange. Missing time is internal, something that's like happening to your own perception, your own memory. That's a different kind of weird, and I don't like that at all.
Well, these reports are kind of impossible to confirm, but they appear frequently enough in accounts from this highway that they've become one of its defining legends.
And at the end of all of this, the dangerous road, the phantom truck, the vanishing passengers, the missing time, what the hell do you think is actually happening out there?
I think a genuinely dangerous road in an isolated landscape at night is already doing most of the work. A road where people have actually died, where visibility is poor and the terrain is unforgiving, and there is nothing for miles in any direction, that environment produces real fear. And real fear produces real experiences that are incredibly difficult to explain.
And then a number like 666 gets attached to it.
And suddenly, every experience on the road gets filtered through a specific expectation.
The road tells you what to see before you even get there.
And it's been doing it for hundreds of years.
The devil left the highway officially in 2003.
Officially.
Just officially.
Okay, well, we need to talk about Route 66 because this one is haunted in a completely different way from everything we've covered so far.
It's haunted by itself.
It's haunted by its own history, and there's a lot of it. So Route 66 is different from every road we've talked about tonight. And I want to explain why before getting into the specific locations.
Because it's not haunted by one thing.
No, it's another multiple thing. Resurrection Mary is one ghost tied to one road. Clinton Road accumulated dozens of legends in one place. Highway 666 built its reputation around a number and genuine danger. Route 66 is something else entirely. It's haunted by its own history.
Yeah, all 2,000 miles of it.
It was established in 1926, stretching from Chicago all the way to Santa Monica, California. And over the decades, it carried millions of travelers across the American landscape. Families escaping the Dust Bowl, soldiers, truck drivers, vacationers, dreamers. The whole cross-section of American life at various points in the 20th century.
And then it got bypassed.
If you've seen Cars, you know it got bypassed.
So true.
Interstate highways came through and Route 66 got bypassed. It got decommissioned in 1985, and what got left behind was ghost towns. Abandoned businesses, aging motels, forgotten landmarks, Radiator Springs, entire communities that essentially stopped existing when the traffic stopped coming.
And those places developed their own legends.
Every single one of them. So tonight we're going to move through Route 66 state by state. And we're going to start in Illinois.
Bunk's Grove.
Which is near Bloomington. It's a heavy wooded area known for its isolation and dense nighttime fog. And there's no single defining ghost story here, which I actually find more interesting than if there was.
It's an atmosphere rather than a specific haunting.
Exactly. Local legends tell of wandering figures appearing among the trees, unexplained encounters on surrounding roads. The area's quiet and its deep shadows have made it one of the more unsettling stops along the eastern stretch of 66, without any one incident to point to.
Sometimes a place doesn't need a story. Sometimes it just feels wrong, and that's enough.
Sometimes the atmosphere does all the work for you. Okay, so from Illinois, we're going to cross the border territory between Oklahoma and Missouri. And this is one of my favorites from the whole route.
The spook light.
Exactly. Along a remote stretch known as the Devil's Promenade, which is already a great name.
Already doing a lot.
Witnesses have reported seeing a glowing orb of light moving through the darkness. And this isn't a recent legend. Reports of this phenomena go back to at least the 19th century.
It's a long time for something to remain unexplained.
And the descriptions of it vary significantly. Some witnesses report a floating ball of light that changes color and size. Others describe it bouncing through the darkness before suddenly vanishing. And explanations range from atmospheric conditions to indigenous legends and extraterrestrial theories.
Nobody agrees on what it is.
Despite decades of investigation, no single explanation has been universally accepted. It just keeps appearing. Generation after generation of witnesses seeing something they can't explain in the same stretch of darkness.
There's something almost comforting about that. Like, whatever it is, at least it's consistent.
It shows up reliably, which is more than you can say for most of the unexplained phenomena. Okay, from the Oklahoma-Missouri border, we're going to head west into Arizona. And Arizona has some of the most intense locations on the entire route.
Flagstaff first.
I believe, didn't you touch on this?
I did.
We're revisiting the Hotel Monte Vista. I'm actually cover this as a whole episode.
I did.
We're going to cover a quick little brief of it. So it's a historic building, still operating, and the reports from here are specific enough that they were worth taking seriously as ghost stories go.
The Phantom Bellboy.
He knocks on guest room doors before disappearing, which, if you're staying in a hotel and someone knocks on your door at 3 a.m. and there's nobody there when you open it.
Yeah, I'm checking out immediately.
And visitors have also reported unexplained voices and footsteps throughout the building, which are the kind of reports that are easy to dismiss in a modern building, but feel considerably harder to ignore in a historic hotel in the middle of the night.
Old buildings have a specific quality to them. They feel like they're holding on to something.
It's like the walls remember. And further east from Flagstaff, one of the genuinely darker locations on the route is Two Guns. Now, before we continue, if you want to go check out our episode on the Hotel Monte Vista, what was it, Em?
Season 1, episode 48.
Where you can go and check out the deeper dive on all things Hotel Monte Vista.
Yes.
Anyway, back to Two Guns, which is an abandoned settlement. And hidden among the ruins is Apache Death Cave, tied to a violent 19th century conflict. And I want to treat this one with care because it involves real historical violence rather than invented folklore.
Real people, real events.
Real people, real events, and real loss. And visitors to the site frequently report hearing strange sounds, experiencing sudden temperature changes, and feeling an overwhelming sense of unease while exploring the ruins.
Which, given what happened there, doesn't feel surprising.
It doesn't feel surprising at all. Some places carry what happened to them, and Two Guns feels like one of those places whether or not you believe in anything paranormal.
The history is heavy enough on its own.
All right, so from Arizona, we're going to head to the western end of the route, California.
Amboy?
Amboy, which is one of the most recognizable ghost towns in the American Southwest. Dominated by the Roy's Motel and Calf sign, which, if you ever see a photograph of Route 66, you've almost certainly seen that sign.
It's become the image of Route 66 in a lot of ways.
The nearly abandoned town feels frozen in time, and it's not associated with one specific ghost story, similar to Funk's Grove in that way, but visitors consistently describe it as eerily silent, particularly after sunset, when the surrounding desert becomes completely and totally dark.
Desert darkness is its own thing. There's nothing to reflect any light. It just absorbs everything.
It pretty much swallows you completely. And then there's the Colorado Street Bridge in Pasadena.
The Suicide Bridge.
It was complete in 1912, and over the decades it's become known as Suicide Bridge, after numerous deaths occur out there. Reports of apparitions and unexplained encounters continue to this day. And this is one where I think the weight of what the place represents matters as much as any ghost story attached to it.
It's a place that absorbed a lot of grief.
And a lot of desperate final moments. Whether you believe in ghosts or not, that kind of history leaves something behind. Something you can feel when you're standing in a place where so much pain happened.
Some places hold their history differently than others.
They really do. And what makes Route 66 unique across all of this, across 2,000 miles of American landscape, is that its legends are completely scattered. There's no single ghost, no single tragedy, no single explanation.
Every abandoned motel, every forgotten town, every lonely stretch of highway.
Every one of them adds another layer. And preservation groups, paranormal investigators, ordinary travelers, they're still out there documenting strange experiences along the Mother Road. Every year, new stories get added to a legend that's already almost a century old.
Whether those experiences are genuinely paranormal or just a result of traveling through places soaked in history,
Route 66 remains one of the most fascinating haunted highways in America. Not because of what happened on it specifically, but because of everything it was, everything it carried, and everything it left behind.
It's haunted by what America used to be.
That's exactly it.
Okay, last two roads, and I want to take us to Texas.
Ooh, I love this one.
Because this one isn't about a ghost at all. It's about a light. So Bragg Road, Old Bragg Road, deep in the big thicket of East Texas. And before we get into the light, the road itself is worth understanding.
It follows the path of a former railroad line.
The tracks were laid in 1901 and removed in 1934. So what you're left with is a dirt road cutting through dense East Texas forests along a route that used to carry trains. And reports of something strange along that route date back to the railroad's earliest days.
Before the tracks were even gone.
People were already seeing something. The phenomenon has a few names. The Big Thicket Light, the Saratoga Light. But whatever you call it, the description is remarkably consistent across more than a century of witnesses.
It's a glowing orb.
Essentially a glowing orb appearing in the darkness along the old railroad bed. Some witnesses describe a white light. Others say yellow, orange, blue, red. It may hover in a place. It may move through the trees. It may seem to approach before suddenly disappearing.
And it got serious public attention in the 1960s.
Texas newspapers started publishing stories about it in 1960 and drew hundreds of visitors hoping to see it firsthand. And here's what I find genuinely fascinating. Many of those visitors agreed that they had seen something, but nobody could agree on what it was.
Which is a rare outcome. Usually people either see nothing or they see something and immediately have a theory.
Here, people saw something and were just stumped. And the full explanations that have been proposed over the years run the full gamut. Distant headlights, swamp gas, atmospheric effects, simple misidentifications.
But none of them fully stuck.
None of them fully satisfied everyone. And so over time, the light accumulated its own folklore. One legend claims it belongs to a railroad worker who was decapitated in an accident and still searches the old tracks carrying a lantern.
It's the classic headless railroad worker with the lantern story. That one shows up in a lot of places.
Another version tells of a hunter who became lost in the big thicket and continues wandering the forest at night. Other stories connected to buried treasure, Civil War history, the spirits of railroad laborers who died along the route.
The light collected stories because it needed an explanation.
And when science couldn't provide one, folklore stepped in, which is the pattern of almost everything we've covered tonight when you think about it.
The unexplained thing arrives first, and then the stories follow right after it.
Bragg Road is the clearest example of that pattern I think we've covered. The mystery came first, the folklore grew around it. And today, visitors still travel that dirt road hoping to see something glowing in the East Texas dark. Some leave empty-handed, others insist they witness something moving through the trees they can't explain.
And after more than a century, it's still not explained.
Which might be the most honest ending any haunted road story gets. Okay, last word of the night, and this one I'm handing to you because it's subtle and strange in a very specific way.
So, Kelly Road sits between two small Pennsylvania communities, Industry and Ohioville. It's 1.6 miles long, and it has a nickname.
The Mystery Mile.
And what makes Kelly Road genuinely different from every other road we've covered tonight, and I mean genuinely different, is that it's not famous for what people see. It's famous for what people feel.
Which is harder to explain and harder to dismiss.
It's much harder to do both of them. The road passes through a heavily wooded area, and reports begin with something that's almost impossible to document. Drivers and passengers describe sudden sensations of dread, anxiety, anger, paranoia, all appearing almost instantly upon entering the stretch and disappearing just as quickly once they leave it.
Like crossing a threshold.
Exactly like crossing a threshold. One moment you're fine, the next something's wrong, and you can't identify what. And then you're through it, and it's gone.
That specific quality, the sharpness of it, the way it switches on and off, that's what gets me about this one.
Yeah, because a gradual feeling you could attribute to atmosphere, to the dark woods or isolated road that you're on, or your own imagination building on itself. But something that switches on and off at a specific geographic boundary is harder to explain away.
Something is happening at that location specifically.
Whether it's paranormal or geological or psychological or something else entirely. Something about that 1.6 miles produces a consistent response in the people who travel through it.
And then there are the animals.
The animal reports are some of the strangest associated with Kelly Road. Normally, calm pets reportedly become hostile toward their owners and other animals while traveling through the area. Wildlife becomes unpredictable. When is wildlife predictable? Whatever. And these aren't isolated accounts. They're among the most consistently repeated stories connected to the road.
Which raises a question because animals respond to things humans don't always perceive. Infrasound, electromagnetic fields, environmental factors we haven't fully mapped yet.
If something in that stretch of road is affecting animals consistently, that's worth taking seriously, regardless of what you believe about ghosts.
It suggests something real is happening, even if we don't have the framework to explain what it is yet.
Exactly. And the more traditional paranormal reports exist too. Pale figures among the trees, glowing white apparitions, shadowy forms that disappear when approach, unexplained sounds, voices, footsteps, the laughter, cries of unseen children.
The children's sounds are the worst detail on this road.
They are deeply unsettling. And various theories have been offered, some pointing to cult activity or occult practices, allegedly connected to the area. But what makes Kelly Road genuinely unique is that its reputation isn't built around any of those specific claims.
It's built around an atmosphere.
A vague, subjective, impossible to prove atmosphere. And yet, remarkably, it's consistent across different witnesses who had no prior knowledge of each other's experiences.
Sometimes the most frightening thing isn't what you see in the dark.
It's what you feel before you see anything at all.
That's a good place to land.
I think you're right. So, from a phantom hitchhiker outside Chicago to the mysterious lights of East Texas, America's haunted roads reveal something interesting about how legends develop. Some are rooted in tragedy. Some grew from unexplained events. Others seem to have emerged simply because a lonely road, a dark forest, or a strange coincidence captured the imagination of those who passed by. Whether the stories are true is ultimately up to the listener to decide. In many cases, the historical events behind the legends are very real. Fatal accidents, violent crimes, disease outbreaks, and abandoned communities all have contributed to the reputation of these roads. Over time, folklore filled in the gaps, creating the ghost stories and mysteries that continue to attract visitors to today. What makes haunted roads so enduring is that they remain accessible. Unlike a haunted house or a forgotten asylum, a road is meant to be traveled. Every night, people still drive these routes. Every night, someone passes the cemetery on Archer Avenue, the forests of Clinton Road, the curves of Shades of Death Road, or the long stretch of what was once Route 666. The stories survive because the roads themselves remain. Of course, the roads we've covered today represent only a small fraction of America's haunted highways. There are dozens of other roads, bridges, back roads, and forgotten stretches of pavement with legends of their own. Because of that, this topic will almost certainly require at least a second installment, and perhaps even the third. Future episodes will explore additional haunted roads across the United States before expanding beyond America's borders to examine some of the world's most international haunted roadways. So thank you for joining us on this journey through some of America's most haunted highways. This episode was researched and written by Samantha from Scare Me Sam. And if you are looking for reviews and discussions of horror, thriller, and dark fantasy books, be sure to go check out her podcast over at Scare Me Sam. And if you enjoyed this episode, don't forget to follow the Ominous Archives on social media or wherever you listen to your podcasts. It helps more people discover the show and ensures you never miss a future episode. So until next time, travel safely, keep your eyes on the road, and if you happen to see something unusual in your headlights, remember, you may not be the first person to report it. So with all that being said, we're going to put this car in park and get out of here. Stay weird and stay haunted. See ya.
See ya.